This video is going to be about parenting. Let's watch this video, which I think is an important video, and then come back and have this conversation.
You have 8 hours to teach my kids. If you can't get it done in that time frame, it needs to move to tomorrow. We have 4 hours with them when they get home. No, I am not wasting it on homework. Family time, sports, and real life is more important than my kids having to work overtime in elementary school.
Hot take. If your kid has a shit ton of homework, it's their own fault. They weren't paying attention in class. They were screwing around in class. They were cutting up in class because there's ample time in those 8 hours for them to do their work. Oh, and by the way, in elementary school, they don't have 8 hours because they have different subjects and they spend maybe 45 minutes, hour max per subject. And you have more than 4 hours with your child, which you should probably spend some more time reading to them at night, helping them with their homework. And I love sports and everything, but you know what? Spending time in the books is going to get them a lot further than any sport will. Just saying.
Okay, so the gentleman who responded is absolutely correct when he talks about the lack of homework in elementary school. Elementary school, they're going through a lot of things in a short period of time. And my son, who's in 7th grade, never, ever has homework. 8th grade, I don't know what we're going to be expecting in 8th grade. But here's where I'm going to disagree, politely, if I can, with the gentleman who's doing the responding in this video. He began the video by saying, okay, so pause, reel it back. I agree with him when it comes to that there's no homework in elementary school. And I agree with the original gentleman that there are other things that have to be important in a child's life as well, not just schoolwork. There are extracurricular activities, there's family time, there are other things that I think need to be a priority in a kid's life other than just schoolwork. Now, going back to the gentleman who responded, at the beginning he said, if your kid has a ton of homework, it's because it's their fault. It's because they cut up at school. They weren't doing the right thing at school. They weren't paying attention. They fucked off at school. I'm going to severely disagree with that statement because my daughter was in advanced classes in her normal school before she went to a STEM boarding school. And in both instances, those advanced classes have mandatory homework at night. And we're talking, when you add it all up together, hours of mandatory homework. We're talking an additional 3-4 hours a night of work above and beyond the school day, mandatory as part of those classes. And that I have a problem with. And yes, you're right. Getting an education is going to get them further than being in sports. In most cases. There are those instances where you have the kids that are phenomenal at sports, and being in the sports are going to get them further than their education. Being in the sport, it's what's going to make them financially set and generations of their family financially set. But you're right, in most cases, it's hitting the books that are the most important thing. Having said that, I think being well-rounded is also very important. And I think that there's a certain amount of time in a day that should be dedicated to education and learning, and a certain period of time in a day that should be dedicated to family time, and a certain amount of time during the day that should be dedicated to whether it be chores or interacting with the family in some way, shape, or form, or participating in extracurricular activities, whether that be a sport or an after-school club or something of that nature, volunteering in their community. My son this summer has to come up with a certain number of service hours for Beta Club because he's in the Beta Club for his junior high. So there are instances, many instances, in which we're assigning or prescribing, in my opinion, entirely too much homework that winds up chewing up all of their day. And I'm going to wrap this up in just 1 second. Winds up chewing up too much of their day and doesn't allow them for the time to participate in other activities, other things that might help enrich them as a human being as well. And I think the reason that we do it, my opinion as to why we do it, is because we are in our school system, and it's not the fault of the educators, it's the fault of society. We are in our school system, I believe, preparing our kids for a work life in which they've already been taught to grind, and give as many hours of your life to the company, right? Give as many hours of your life to your job, not just the hours that you are getting paid to work, but then go above and beyond. Work nights, work weekends, come in and do those extra things. And it's this generational thinking about the workplace where we have to give our lives to the job so that we can have a life outside of the job, but it's not much of a life because it doesn't leave you with much. And we're programming our kids to have that mindset, I think, at an early age. Whereas I think that if we can strip away some of that homework and leave education to the educational hours and train their brains to have that line of thinking when they go into the workplace. These are the hours you work. These are the hours you live. We should be doing that in school. These are the hours you learn, and these are the hours that you live. What do you guys think?